Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Ahmad Aziz and I am from grade 8. Today I am taking you to one of the most going wrong, the most unsuccessful, not theories but jurisdictions of all time. This is not a compilation for disclaimer. Communism. It is basically something related to politics and economics. A spectre is haunting Europe, the spectre of communism. Now, communism never really reached Europe. Yes, it did reach Eastern Europe, but still it remained mostly in Russia and in some ways on very irregular occurrence. In China, also in some South American places. But still, as communism itself was the foundation of a thing invented by Karl Marx and Freidrich Engels. These two were similar people. They were German. They worked together. They wrote the Communist Manifesto, and the manifesto at itself was said to be completed by Engels because Karl Marx died. Now, if we dig deeper onto communism, you must read Das Kapital. It is a very philosophical book. You must understand its basis, its way of governance. Although it can be very challenging, but it is still very easy if you have a very annotated version. The book was implemented by various people. Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov Lenin, the starting ruler in many ways of Russia, communist Russia, or frequently called Soviet Union or the USSR. Now, this was a very irregular state. It was basically a state running when its people were happy. Obviously, there is a very famous thing that when the Russians laid their flag on the Tower of Berlin, the picture itself had a soldier wearing two watches on both hands, like a watch on both hands. So the one who took the picture was like, no, the people of our homeland, Mother Russia, cannot see the Red Army people wearing two watches at once. So he sort of cropped it or blurred it. And to this day, people know this, and obviously Russians know this too. There were many weird inventions in that time, mostly related to daily life. The abacuses, the ones used for calculation, they are used now as well in the more developing areas of Russia. But if you look at communism as general, it was basically Stalin killing everybody who came in his way. It was Lenin starting a really good fight for the left wing, and it was Gorbachev ending it with some Americans. Now, as of communism itself, it is a very balanced economic system. It does not need any competition between the parties. It is basically a fixed income for life. It has no change. So the person who said that change is permanent is killed by Stalin himself. Now, fun fact: Stalin means man of steel. It is his pseudonym. It is not his real name. Now, the very foundation, the very manifesto or the catchphrase they used was that in every era, in every time, there were two sets of parties, the proletarians and the bourgeois. I know that is not the correct pronunciation, but it was something like that. They say that every time the bourgeois ruled the proletarians. The proletarians, being the lower classes, were always dominated by the higher class. For example, he says that if you look at Rome, we see the Pope and the slave. If you look at ancient Rome, we see the dictator and the slave. In every way, you see there is a very poor person and a very rich person. A person whose needs are not made up to mark, and ones whose income exceeds his needs. or actually multiplies it 1,000 times. Now, in spite of this, Karl Marx took a very brutal approach. The whole communism is basically dominated by industry, by agriculture, and by simply manipulating manpower. In short words, it is a system that cannot grow and cannot fall very easily either.